Today we celebrate our freedom, we celebrate our independence, and we celebrate the spark of liberty our founders lit nearly 250 years ago. That spark has grown into a bright light, seen from around the world. But it wasn't always that way. The truths we now see as self-evident were once a revelation. The rights we now hold as natural were once revolutionary. And even today, there are those who would extinguish the glowing flame of liberty if we let them. So this Independence Day, spend time with your family and enjoy a backyard barbecue. But never forget those who fought and died for our freedom and those who are fighting to keep us safe now. Never forget that freedom is only one generation away from extinction. God bless.
The KTBS 3 Freedom Fest finale continues.
It's one of the iconic images in America's fight for freedom. American Marines hoisting the U.S. flag at the Battle of Iwo Jima during World War II. A Texarkana, Texas veteran was there and recalls one of the biggest and bloodiest battles of the war in the Pacific.
In May of 1942, the entire country was focused on the war effort. Texarkana's Jim Upchurch was just graduating from high school.
I got my diploma that afternoon, that night, and I was on the next morning. I was on the way to boot camp.
Upchurch was sent to Camp Wallace near Galveston, Texas.
I was in the Navy.
Okay, and tell me about your ship.
I was on an APA, a new ship. It was called an APA.
That new ship was the USS Bollinger. What was special about that ship?
It was a troop carrier. We carried about 25 landing craft. We hit the beaches.
Tell me about hitting the beaches. Where did you hit the beaches?
We hit Iwo Jima.
So you were there. Famous battle at Iwo Jima.
Yes.
Iwo Jima was a brutal battle in the Pacific that lasted over a month in the spring of 1945.
Everybody was scared to death. Let's face it, we were scared.
The victory allowed the U.S. to control a large island and airstrip within striking distance of mainland Japan. Casualties were very heavy. More than 6,000 Marines were killed, more than 700 Navy personnel. The Japanese casualties were higher, with more than 18,000 killed. But victory was finally secured, and Marines planted the American flag on Mount Suribachi in one of the most iconic moments of the war.
We occupied Iwo Jima. Then later on, we occupied Japan.
After Japan's surrender in September of 1945, Upchurch continued to serve in the Navy. He finally returned home to Texarkana. Decades later, he continues one tradition he learned in the Navy.
The lady across the street put that flag there the minute she heard
that her neighbor was a World War II veteran. That was a few years ago. Now, Jim Upchurch salutes that flag every day, often asking permission to come aboard. Why do you think it's important to salute the flag? You do this every day?
Yeah.
Tell me about that and why you do that.
Well, that's what we did aboard ship. That's what we did aboard ship. We saluted the flag every day.
A lifelong tradition.
Permission to come aboard, sir.
Permission granted.
That even at 97 years old, this patriot will not give up.
And it'll be there, I guess, as long as I live.
Over the years, I have captured some beautiful images in the Arklatex, but folks, there is one I will never forget. It's early morning, sunrise, a hillside in Claiborne Parish, hundreds and hundreds of American flags flying free and proud.
I can't think of very many moments like this one. Just after sunrise, just before the 4th of July, a hillside outside a home in Claiborne Parish. Took my breath away. Still does. I knew there had to be a story. There is. You see, this really began just after the Second World War. A family, the Gladneys, began to gather for a picnic. why not do it on the 4th? It grew. Through the 50s and 60s and 70s, every July 4th they gathered. Time passes, life happens. Gladneys meet Abshers. Love blooms. The kids come. The picnic got bigger. In the 80s, Dr. Sam Absher sets up practice in Claiborne Parish. In the 90s, he builds a beautiful home on the hill across the way. That's when the flags came, the big ones, hundreds of them. People began to notice, take pictures. The picnic never stopped. Happens now in the shadow of the flags on the side of the hill, in the shade of the sycamore and oaks.
We've had 2 days of peaceful protest.
The country has changed a lot in those 70 years, but not everything. The Gladney family picnic still happens every July 4th afternoon. It's the great-great-grandkids now that play among the flags. Every year it seems there's another one or two, and of course, more flags. Long may they wave in the gentle breeze of a free and peaceful land.
And that symbol of freedom flies proudly at homes across the Arklatex this holiday. With the help of our sponsors, we gave away hundreds of new American flags.
A new generation is helping to keep a patriotic tradition alive. Each weekday morning, we end our newscast with a group of local students as they recite the Pledge of Allegiance. Another way our youngest patriots got to express their feelings about our nation and display their talents was through our daily Colors of Freedom pictures. Thanks to all of the students from across the Arklatex who shared your visions of what freedom and patriotism means to you.
As celebrations continue across America, here in the Arklatex, we are counting down to our grand finale. Starting at 9:30, you'll see a massive fireworks display like never before. We'll bring you the sights and sounds as the sky lights up in cities across our region. It's courtesy of Brookshire's Grocery Company, Abear Town and Country, and Kilpatrick's Roseneath Funeral Homes.
Patriotism to me, coming off the Juneteenth weekend and rolling into the 4th of July, it just shows the inclusiveness in this nation. And it allows us to, praise the freedoms that we are afforded, that a lot of countries aren't afforded. And yeah, it gives us that time to get with family and get together and cook out and do those things with fireworks and just have a good time and just enjoy the freedom.